I was born and raised in Compton, California, where I learned a lot about the streets. I made my way to Berkeley, California to go to school at Cal, and then UC Davis for law school. I worked 15 years as a prosecutor, and I saw more crime than any man should ever have to see. But I learned what you can do in order to stay out of trial.
But I'm happy to be able to come to you tonight and provide you with a journey from a brother, what it takes to get out of jail and to not go back into jail. And we're going to share with you some of his journey, some of the things that he's gone through, and we're going to be able to draw from his experiences and help all of you continue to stay out of jail. So I'm introducing you tonight to a brother named Desi Henry. Desi Henry is going to tell you a little bit about where he's from, and we're going to walk through his journey. As I mentioned earlier, I have a good young brother here named Desi Henry, who's going to share a little bit about himself with you, and we're going to walk through a lot about how we can continue to stay out of jail. How you doing, Desi?
How you doing?
Good to have you here. Could you tell us a little bit about where you were born and how you made your way over to Oakland?
I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada. Moved out here in Oakland, California at the age of 6.
What part of Oakland did you grow up in?
East Oakland.
And where'd you go to middle school?
I went to middle school at Elmhurst Middle School.
You have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have 4 stepbrothers and one stepsister and one biological sister, but one of my other stepsisters had got killed.
Right. When did that happen? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that experience.
That happened in 1989. I can remember her sitting on the porch on Avenue in East Oakland, and she was crying, but she would never let me know the situation what she was crying about. And later on, the next night, homicide came and told her that our sister was killed.
Growing up in East Oakland, having that personal experience of having lost your sister, and then also being able to see some of the other tragic situations in Oakland, how did that shape your vision of life, and how did that help or hurt you grow as a young man?
It helped me. I mean, I was basically confused for a minute, but at the same time, it helped me know that that things happen, and it just as well as it happened to my sister can also happen to me.
At some point in your life, we talked before about you developing a habit of smoking marijuana. Mm-hmm. And I know because of what I've been doing with the community and my role as a lawyer, that marijuana, for a lot of people, they believe it's a recreational drug. But I've found that it's starting out to be the type of drug that leads people into making bad decisions, mm-hmm. being around groups of people that can also influence them to make bad decisions. Tell us a little bit about how you got started with marijuana and what impact it started to have on your life.
Well, basically it started as hanging out with some of my friends. It was like, at the time, it was a thing to do. And, going out to parties, just hanging out. And I would smoke it, and I would smoke it just for like recreational, but then it started to get out of hand. And I know it was getting out of hand because like when I was going to school, in order to support I had to use my lunch money to buy marijuana. And it became buying a dime sack here, then it became buying a half of an ounce of it to an ounce. And I used to actually sell crack cocaine to support my marijuana habit.
So you were selling crack cocaine to support your habit of smoking marijuana?
Yes.
Marijuana had that type of hold, that type of control over you?
Yes, it did.
Now, a lot of people think marijuana is just somebody getting high before they go to a party, or somebody, getting a little puff to make them feel better. Some people think it's about, just making yourself more relaxed. But I'm coming to find out through my experiences that it's a much more powerful and a much more dangerous drug. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's a much dangerous drug because it allows you to, especially if you becoming a family man, it allows you to take food away from your kid. It can allow you to take use the money such as for marijuana instead of handling bills and everything. It just it make you become a person, a selfish person. You know, it's all about you and all about that high. And it took a lot. It took a lot away from me. But by it being marijuana, I never seen that it was a big deal.
At some point, you just mentioned that this habit of smoking marijuana required you to have to pay for it, which eventually led you to selling the crack cocaine.
Yes.
We're going to take a little bit of a break right now, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about how this habit elevated you to getting yourself in a situation where you're starting to have to do time in jail because of the crack cocaine. So we're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to talk about sort of the second phase of what's going on with this young man's life and how we can learn a lot about his journey. Welcome back. We're getting started with a real powerful message tonight about what happens when you develop the habit of smoking weed and what it can do to your decisions and the type of things you find yourself doing, maybe the type of people you hang out with. We've got a young brother here who's going to continue to tell us about his story. He's being very transparent about it. So Desi, share with us a little bit more about what you remember and the journey that you started when you developed this habit of smoking marijuana.
Well, I remember, like I said, I used to sell crack cocaine to support my habit, and then I would just do that just to basically party, you know. And I never had no success out of selling drugs to support my habit, which started. I started to sell drugs to try to be successful, but it was all because it all went down to selling drugs to support a weed habit because that weed habit got that bad.
What kind of people were you hanging out with when you were smoking the marijuana or selling the crack cocaine to support the habit? What group of influences were you being influenced by?
You know, hanging out on the corners. You know, a lot of ladies coming by. You know, wanted to, you know, just hanging out on the street corners. Is what the term they use today. Just hanging out on the spot. You know, it was like, you know, it's like a thing to do. You know, just like it is today.
When did you know at that time that this may be difficult, or this may get you into a whole lot of trouble, either in law enforcement or with your family and your friends? Did it ever dawn upon you that you may be over your head at some point?
Absolutely.
And how did you deal with that while you were still in the habit of smoking and selling in order to support the habit?
I try to do the best I could, not getting caught. But I knew eventually, I mean, it was somewhere in my mind, eventually I'd get caught for selling drugs if I kept on doing it. But, like I said, to support my habit, I had to do what I had to do. The first time I was got picked up for crack cocaine, I was on my way to go buy some marijuana and had crack cocaine in my mouth. And a friend of mine made a U-turn in the double yellow lines, which caused task force to pull us over. And the first person the task force approached was me, like he knew I had it in my mouth, and he told me to open my mouth, and I caught a possession because he didn't see me selling. There was only 3 rocks in my mouth. So they charged me with a possession.
How much time did you have to do for that possession?
I did I said about 7 days, but then they sentenced me to drug diversion.
And drug diversion is a program where you've got to report, you've got to test and make sure that you test negative in order to get the case off your record.
Yes.
Were you successful in completing that program?
No.
What happened?
I would get sentenced to drug diversion, get out, wouldn't sign up or report, it become a warrant, go do some time for it.
Different warrants for not coming in and doing time. How much time would you regularly wind up doing for not adhering to the drug program?
60 days, because like I said, it was a possession. I did 60 days.
Some people, Desi, will say, well, you know, as soon as I get a taste of jail, that's it. I'm not going to ever go back to jail. I've had clients tell me, you know, this is me. I'm not ever coming back to jail. But I get the impression, and I'm learning that that powerful addiction to that drug or that life or that lifestyle changes once people get out and they wind up going back in. Was that some of what you were going through as well?
Right. And yes, sir. And it was a key word you said. It was the drug and the lifestyle I got addicted to. You know, just being out there, hanging out on the streets became an addiction too, as well as the marijuana.
So even though you would get locked up and have your freedom taken and you would be in jail sometimes 2-3 months, that wasn't enough to change your mind and get out that lifestyle?
No. Not then it wasn't.
Eventually, do you find yourself picking up more cases and doing more time?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, I got to the point that, you know, being under the influence, having a kid by a lady, I started catching domestic violence cases, vandalism, you know, just stuff because I was under the influence at the time and not really knowing what I was doing.
That's a good point you mentioned. You're talking about the domestic violence cases. What role was the marijuana, the selling of cocaine, the whole lifestyle playing in your ability to develop a healthy relationship with, sounds like, the mother of your child?
It wasn't helping at all because, like I said, I was back and forth out of jail, you know, putting my family at risk because, you know, living in that environment at the time, you know, I mean, it's things that go with it, you know, robbery, you know, I mean, just things that I was putting my family in danger.
Was this drug and this lifestyle so powerful to you that it didn't even allow you to be a father to your son?
Absolutely.
And stop living that lifestyle? What was preventing you from doing that?
It was the lifestyle. And I, you know, and I guess by me not being raised by a dad at the time, not really learning, I really didn't know how. You know, I mean, I just didn't know where to start. You know, I mean, I had a baby, you know, buying diapers, doing the basic things. I thought that was okay, but it was more to that. It was spending time, and I never did that.
You didn't know how to spend time with your child?
Didn't know how to do it. I mean, I didn't want to know how. It was just all about the lifestyle and getting high. You know, I mean, at a time I lived just to get high. You know, I mean, I thought that was just the way of life. It got so bad. I used to always say, "This is the life."
And that's all you knew?
That's all I knew.
That's all you wanted?
That's all I wanted. Yes.
Now, normally when we get to this point in the story, we wind up talking about you spending the rest of your life in prison or you're being dead. But by you being on this show, something must have happened in your life to change all that. And we're going to take a break now. When we come back, I want you to tell and share with people why you're able to be here today and talk about this and give this testimony. Some of the things that happened in your life that got you away from that type of lifestyle.
Okay.
So we'll take our break now and we'll come back and find out how this young brother is still here and why he's got to be able to come here and give you this testimony. Welcome back. We're here for the last segment of this program, and we're here with my brother Desi Henry, and he's going to tell us how he's able to have come from what we talked about before to be able to give us his testimony today and share with us some of the turning points in his life. So when we last left, Desi, we were talking about how that lifestyle was controlling you. It wouldn't allow you to be a father. It wouldn't allow you to be a good spouse. It was putting you in jail and putting you back in jail. So tell us, when was it, or when did you start realizing that you had to make a change in your life?
I started realizing that I had to make a change in my life was because one drug led to another drug that really took total control of me.
What drug was that?
That was crack cocaine.
You went from smoking marijuana and selling crack cocaine to support your habit for marijuana, and now you find yourself
using crack cocaine.
Using crack.
Yes.
Now, how did that happen? Someone introduced you to it, or what got you to that stage?
You know, it was just something at the time I wanted to do because it was like I wanted to add high, and I had the crack, and I just wanted to see what it all about.
We wasn't doing the same thing for you?
Just wasn't doing the same thing as it was.
You're selling the crack, you're seeing what it's doing to other people. You also see that it's destroying people's lives, but that wasn't enough to scare you away from it.
No.
You thought
Because I thought it wouldn't have me like that.
thought it wouldn't do that to you? You know what crackheads look like. You saw them, you sold to them.
Yes.
But you didn't think that was going to be you.
No.
And then tell us about how the people you used to sell crack to and what you saw them look like, how you eventually became one of those people.
Wow. What I saw, sir, is how I became, because like I said, I would get different counts from some of my friends. A count is like a package.
Right.
And I would sell what they wanted me to bring them back, but I would smoke what was mine. And it got to the point that I started smoking not only my profit, theirs too. And it became, because I was so afraid to go out there and buy it, because I'm like, no, if I get to that point, then I know it's a problem. And
you thought you were okay by smoking what they were distributing to you.
It's what you call a closet smoker, because, I mean, all my friends knew something wasn't right, but long as I wasn't out there buying it, I would feel like I'm not a dope fiend yet. And
what was it doing to your body?
Yeah, I'm losing weight. Skin complexion would get dark. I wasn't cleaning myself up. I keep on the same clothes for days. I just really wasn't taking care of myself. But it was a process, Mr. Stallworth, because at one point in time, I would kind of clean myself up, so I just wouldn't look so bad, because mind you, I was still around people that didn't use. Starting to look real bad. I just started looking,
well, looking that bad and going through that, physical deterioration, how were you able to get the money to support your habit? What did you do under those circumstances?
When I started asking people for money.
You were out there panhandling?
Right. I started panhandling with family first, because family didn't know I was getting high. So then when I wore that out, I had to do it some other kind of way. First, I would go to stores and start stealing out of malls, till I started going back and forth out of jail with that, and
that wasn't working.
That wasn't working. So to keep me out of jail longer, because long as I knew I was smoking dope, I'd go back to jail, but it wouldn't be so bad panhandling. Right. Stealing it, I knew I would wind up going to the penitentiary, because they had told me that. And I got the panhandling, and I mastered that down so good till that became my number one hustle.
How much could you panhandle in a day in order to support your habit?
Wow, you get some good days, you get some bad days, and I think probably my bad day, wow, it really depends. My bad day, I probably 100. I could never know, because I'm back and forth going to the spot. So
how much would you need to get panhandling in order to go get your hit?
Oh, $10, $8. If I can get $8, my main focus was to get at least $8, so I could get me a dime piece of crack.
And how long would that last before you would be back?
Oh, that was like, 10, 15-minute high?
You would do that throughout the whole day?
Throughout the whole day. And what I would do, I would try to break a record. If I went on 8 runs before 12 o'clock Monday, Tuesday I try to make it 9 before 12.
It was that powerful.
It was that powerful.
When you're supposed to be dead, my man, or you're supposed to be in prison, what changed? Can you tell us if that was that moment or that time that got you out of that lifestyle?
What changed me, Mr. Stallworth, is that I started seeing families. I remember mentioning to you, like, I would see them on holidays, how they would go out and spend time with each other, and how families would actually look at me. The kid will walk by and they'll look at me like I'm some kind of animal. I look different, and it got to me. But I would always knew to myself, deep down, I get out of this, but I didn't want nothing tragic to happen in order for me to get out. I wanted another chance, but I was so caught up in the drug tail. I wanted to, but I just couldn't shake the drug.
You didn't want to have to be shot or go to prison in order to change your life around.
Yes, sir.
What were you able to do spiritually to help you?
News to actually get some help, but at the time I just really didn't want it until one day Mr. Star, once I made up my mind that day, it was like a whole different feeling, like this is it. Once I really said this is it and meant it. See, I said a lot of times this is it, but I really didn't mean it. But once I said it in my heart and I meant it, it was like that night, I can do this because I know tomorrow this is it. You know, I know tomorrow gonna be a whole new day for me. So I could, and it was like I was just happy because I knew what I was gonna do tomorrow.
It's gonna be the new part of
your
life.
The new part of my life. And it was like it was like a relief because I knew in my heart this was it.
How long ago was that?
This was 2 years ago. December the 4th of this year would be 2 years straight.
December 4th, 2007 is when
Yes.
you changed your life.
Yes.
Tell us about the support that you've been getting from the Men of Valor and how that's helped you sustain this new part of your life.
Wow. First of all, I mean, the support is just overwhelming love. I mean, not only they showed me how to become a man. You know, I'm a man by natural body, but they showed me how to become a man. They helped me to love again, to love my family. You know, and with that place there, sir, not only they helped me with employment, but they like my family. I love that place. That place has became a part of me.
Tell us about, for the people who don't know, the Men of Valor is associated with what church and what bishop and the role that you're playing with them now, because I understand that you're working with them and for them.
Yes. It's associated with Acts 4 Gospel Church of God in Christ, and I'm part staff, like substituting when the other staff is, you know, I need to cover up, but I'm full-time kitchen worker.
Are you mentoring the young men that come into that program that
Yes.
you see living the life that you used to live and what they've got to go through?
Yes, every day, because you know it's a trip how they can they look at it as being a joke. Some of them do, but when in reality, like this, you know, I thank you for sharing what you've been through. That's like.
I've always said that, you know, there's a message out there. People know, but depending on who the messenger is, it's going to sink in.
Yes.
I can say what I'm going to say, and I can talk about my experience, but when I get a brother like you who can come in and share what you've been through, because you've been through it, I believe people understand and they realize what it takes. And they can take from your story a number of things that they can relate to. And I believe that's going to be the type of message that will help us keep people out of jail. We've had programs about different crimes and what not to do. This young man has come to us today and shared with us how to stay out of going back to jail. And I just want to thank him. I want to thank the Men of Valor, and Bishop Bob Jackson and Mr. Butler and everybody for giving you an opportunity to come and speak with us today as we continue to work on making sure we keep people out of jail.